We have the right to demand that they respect the human rights of all people, including the Palestinians.
America's most popular Jewish lawmaker is calling out Israel's human rights abuses. Bernie Sanders was on MSNBC with Ali Velshi just a day after Ali Velshi's fantastic report on the apartheid in Israel. I did a segment on that, comparing Ali Velshi's segment to a CNN segment. Here I'm going to show you Bernie's appearance on Ali Velshi's show and get a little more into what Bernie has been saying about this, as well as what he said in the past with a couple of flashback clips, and compare that to what Joe Biden has been saying. So first up, here is Bernie's appearance on MSNBC.
Senator, you published an op-ed. I delivered a commentary yesterday on the fact that we do need to start taking the rights of the human rights of Palestinians into account. Senator Ted Cruz, not talking about you, but talking about the squad's opposition to things. He said this on Thursday. It's disgraceful that you have members of the United States Congress that basically operate as shills for terrorists and undermine Israel. And they undermine Israel so often that after a while you start to say, OK, we get it. You don't like the Jews. Folks have said that about you, too. How do we understand the ability to criticize the policies of the Israeli government as being entirely separate from and counter to anti-Semitism?
No, that's exactly right. The Israeli government has evolved over the years into a pretty strong right-wing government, and their coalition now includes people who are overt racists. And when you have the United States of America, Ali, putting almost $4 billion a year into Israel, we have the right to demand that they respect the human rights of all people, including the Palestinians. What we need now is an even-handed policy which protects the security of Israel. They have a right to live in peace and security without terrorist attacks. But the people in the Palestinian territories also have a right to live in peace and dignity. And anyone who takes a look at what's going on in Gaza right now, where youth unemployment is 70%, and I'm talking about before this current war and the terrible things that have happened in the war, where youth unemployment is sky high, where people can't get electricity and clean water on a regular basis. This is a territory controlled by Israel. So we got to deal with the corruption of the Palestinian Authority. We got to deal with that. But we have also got to create a situation where the people in the Palestinian territories are respected as well.
Now, this is actually a fairly tame statement here from Bernie Sanders, but even this will be criticized because Bernie here is acknowledging the humanity of Palestinians. On Twitter, he put this out saying the devastation in Gaza is unconscionable. We must urge an immediate ceasefire. The killing of Palestinians and Israelis must end. We must also take a hard look at nearly $4 billion a year in military aid to Israel. It is illegal for U.S. aid to support human rights violations. So I think this is the most significant part of what Bernie has been saying, calling out the arms sales to the Israeli government, and more on that in a second here. First, just to give you a rundown on where we are at with this crisis. So Gaza death toll nears 200 amid surge of Israeli raids. Almost 60 children killed in Gaza in the last week alone. From Middle East Eye here, Israel has destroyed Gaza's only laboratory testing for the coronavirus, a senior health official said. And Israeli raids damage road leading to Gaza's main hospital. So you have all of this going on. And today, Biden administration approves $735 million weapons sale to Israel. This is indefensible. To continue selling arms to the Israeli government while they are causing all of this destruction, while they are occupying Palestinians. As I've discussed over and over again, the Israeli government has the power in this situation. They have the power to end this. They have the power to free Palestinians that are living in an open-air prison in Gaza. Yet instead, they decide to bomb their homes, bomb a media building, bomb the roads leading to a hospital, bomb the coronavirus testing site, and they can do this because they know that the U.S., the world superpower, will come to their defense. And also, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says he has not seen any Israeli evidence of Hamas operating in a Gaza office building that Israel destroyed in an airstrike. The building housed the Associated Press, broadcaster Al Jazeera, and other media. So I covered this over the weekend. The Israeli government destroyed this building, of course, claiming, oh, Hamas was working out of there. Well, no evidence at all. Even the U.S. Secretary of State was forced to acknowledge there was no evidence at all that Hamas was working out of that building. The Israeli government destroyed this media building because they are trying to institute a media blackout in Gaza, because they understand the more that people see what is going on in Gaza, the more people come to the defense of the Palestinians, because they are then made aware of what is actually going on, what the crisis is really about. Now, it's not lost on me, and it shouldn't be lost on you, the significance of the most popular Jewish lawmaker in America, Bernie Sanders, coming out and criticizing the Israeli government. You also have a Israeli human rights group doing the same. So this is actually a story from back in January. I'll get to an update in terms of what they're saying today as well. But from back in January, they were saying, this is B'Tselem, for the first time labeled Israel an apartheid regime, sparking a fierce controversy by using a term that Israeli leaders have vehemently rejected. B'Tselem, a prominent rights organization, said in an explosive report Tuesday that Israel cannot be a democracy while maintaining an occupation in the Palestinian territories. So you have here an Israeli-based human rights group calling out Israel's apartheid. And over the weekend, they put this out saying killing blockaded civilians and destroying infrastructure on a massive scale. Israel is committing war crimes in the Gaza Strip. So again, the importance of this, the importance of this is clear. Having an Israeli-based human rights organization, having Jewish lawmakers like Bernie Sanders come out and call this out, it's incredibly important. And you also can't downplay the bravery involved there. So it shows you the dedication here to human rights, that these groups, that lawmakers like Bernie Sanders have real principles when it comes to standing up for what is right. Now, as I said, a couple of flashbacks here, so let me show you. These are both from the 2020 primary. So Bernie Sanders, of course, has been a clear voice on this for at least the past 5 years, and here are a couple more examples.
It is not anti-Semitic to be critical of a right-wing government in Israel. That is not anti-Semitic, okay?
Now, sadly, tragically, in Israel, through Bibi Netanyahu, you have a reactionary racist who is now running that country.
So credit to Bernie Sanders here, of course, for being clear on this issue and being an inspiration for others to come out and call out the obvious human rights abuses being committed by the Israeli government.